Alright, looks like we're good. And I totally forgot to turn on music. There we go. Okay, so today I'm just kind of doing some cleanup in here. Well, not, I guess, cleanup, some finishing. I've been playing around with some scale stuff and whatnot here in the market area. Did that cause an issue? No, this is an issue I never noticed. Some issues will end up showing up later when I throw actual materials on there. If there, that one would have. Not all of them. Not all issues will show up that way. Also, it's hard to tell, but I've spent a bit of time redoing the basic terrain here. Now, some of it probably will need some other edits. I did just kind of real quickly expanded it out. That way, it's not popping through. Technically, some of these areas can have, I was experimenting over here with like basements and stuff like that. Although I want to redo how this is because I did not like how it turned out. I think I'm going to make a passageway through here down into there as opposed to taking up so much of that courtyard with that. But, so yeah, today I just plan on kind of working out some of the issues that I've noticed as I've been running around. And I just had been playing around with this building. It was feeling a little like cramped in this area. Oops. And so I moved some stuff about 2 meters, so that's why these stairs are no longer in the correct spot. And this wall, I did that twice. Oh, okay, that's what it did. Let's do it like that. There we go. I was going to end up with a flickering material there, and then I was going to have a flickering material there, so yeah, it should be good now. But yeah, kind of just expanded out the front of this about 2 meters, which gave me enough room to make this room feel a little bit wider because it was feeling really squished. And then the same thing with this, was feeling very squished. So both of those should now feel a little bit better. And then after I've got all this cleaned up, I really need to do a pass on windows, and then from there it'll just be making tweaks if the team notices anything. Oh, I just noticed that. Needs to be a little shorter because of that arch. That, or I need to raise the floor up so that it actually rises above that arch. Is that doable? I suppose it actually is. Let's bring that back. So it needs to go up a meter. Like so. And then that'll give me space to move that. I'm gonna have to adjust everything above this, but let me adjust this stuff first. Ooh. This needs to come up. This could probably come down a little bit so it's not as steep of a ramp, because it was kind of a steep ramp before. Maybe I'm making the other one too steep now. That's better. Okay. So now let's grab all of these ceilings. And we will move these up. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Move that down. And then, like I said, I was going to end up breaking the top up here. So let's fix this. There we go. Should be better. Now I need to fix the doors, unless this was intended only for gnomes and halflings to get through. So it should be the right height. 1, 2, and then 0.75. Yep, we're good. And I'll clean up these a bit. How's everybody doing tonight? Oops. I really should have selected edges. Okay-ish. It's better than not being good. Or not being... Yeah, not being good. Sorry, my brain is completely fried from work all week. But... Oh. Let's see. Could afford this. I wanted this room to be larger, like, height-wise anyways. So now I guess I can afford to bring this up even a little bit higher. We'll see how that feels. Okay, so that is better. I kind of want to expand this over slightly, although I may end up, hold on a second, let me make sure I'm not undoing anything that Sean has done database-wise. Oops, I just enabled the wrong. I'm going to have to do this again. It's going to show the Fallen Watch spawns. You know, I'll switch this to Night Harbor and enable. Hey Keith, how's it going? Does not look like Sean has placed anybody in this building. Ooh, he added some people in this building. Yeah, I kind of remember how to do some database stuff. Going good. How about you? It's going all right. Just wrapping up my summer class in the next couple days, which will be nice. And then I can start focusing back on getting this area finished out. What is going on here? Oh, I know what that is. That's fine the way it is. Maybe let's experiment with this. The only problem is I lose that, because this isn't going to look good. Unless I... Whoop. Not do that. Unless I just make this a shorter awning. Let's do normal. Oops. Normal. I don't know, we'll see. Oops. I did this recently, and like I said, haven't had as much time with the class going on to make sure I've caught all of the holes from the new from the train being fixed for all these areas. So, as I'm running around, I may keep noticing gaps. Is that something I adjusted? I don't remember, but I will fix it. I'm sure I'm going to be really good at getting people stuffed into Geo as I keep editing stuff. Those and those, like so, and then so, you know, I can just do this. Is this a ring? Sometimes I like doing ring. See, this is what I'm talking about. I can go up here and I can select ring and it goes this way. But then I can go down to this one, and I can select loop, and it goes that way. So it's just like a random guess which specific face is going to be loop, and which one is going to be whatchamacallit, ring. Zukin, how you doing? Are you going to have to take all these buildings into Maya one by one once you're done, or is there some sort of conversion from ProBuilder to static mesh? I'm going to have to export them out as OBJs, I'm pretty sure, and then just export them from Maya. I can do it in mass, though. So I can select a bunch of different meshes at once, and so for instance, I can select those, and then I can go to why am I not seeing exports? Hold on. Oh, there, export. Okay, I totally was just not seeing it. Yeah, and then you can like include children, and you can, you know, bring the textures. You can do all sorts of different things. Bring them in as quads, whatever, and then export them as a group. Bring them in, and then it'll also bring over all the names, which I need to go through and rename all of this stuff. Which is going to be annoying, but some of the stuff I wasn't sure what I was making when I was making it, so I'll have to do a little bit of geo naming convention cleanup, and then from there export it out, bring it into Maya. If it's something that could just like a 1-for-1 just be spit out, fine. If it's something I need to do some cleanup on, I can do that real quickly. Like some of these like edges and stuff are just gonna be so much easier to just select them, delete them, and then either triangulate this by hand, or I could just click on the face of the giant non-gon and say triangulate, and it'll be done. It's so much faster than me sitting here and moving every single one of these little edge loops and then merging them down. Oh, man. Okay, so I think that looks a little bit better. We'll run around in that in a minute as well. Is there any other ones in here that were really kind of funky feeling? Hey, Zukin, have you had a chance to run around in all these buildings yet? And if so, is there any specific spot that you feel feels a little funky in terms of it being too narrow or too big? I'm going to lean on the side of no on too big, because I haven't noticed any spots that feel like that. Oops, that's not what I wanted. I wanted this. But I have noticed a couple spots that felt a little too narrow. So that's one thing I'm addressing today. I want to clean up this stuff, and then I want to go in and work on adding windows and stuff. But maybe not to, might not get around to doing windows on everything today. Hey Safer, how's it going? I'm doing pretty good. Just a little beat from the work grind the last couple, or the last week and a half. But other than that, I mean, the class is going well. It's just a lot. A lot to cover in a 2-week span. But I will give my class credit. They are really taking to it well and making good pace. These were just a test. These will probably get replaced with better ones that are a little bit more thought out. I was just kind of playing around with seeing how that worked, because I know we want to have a bunch of, like, you know, draping cloth and stuff like that. I haven't spent time intentionally running around and testing the buildings, but I can run around looking for bone chip quests. Or I did run around looking for the bone chip quest dude, and the place is like a maze. I'm hoping texture will help navigate it better. Hoping it's not too labyrinthy. I want it to be slightly labyrinthy to a degree, but I think a lot of this stuff will start, a lot of the texture and, you know, adding in more sails and stuff like that and color is going to help with navigation. So, like, you know, this big thing is going to have a big jewel on it, which kind of helps you orient yourself you've got this to help orient yourself. So there'll be some larger points of interest that have other colors and stuff like that to help pull you around. But yeah, it took me a minute to run around and find who the quest giver was. Because I didn't cheat. I was like, I need to like legit try to find this. Alright, why is this not letting me select that? Okay. So I notice there's definitely seams here. But I do want there to be enough city that it's not like you're instantly going, like everything's like a straight thoroughfare. So I want there to be some, you know, twists and turns and places you can get lost and stuff like that. Kind of if you get off the main roads is where you can get turned around. So like walk into these areas and they start to get a little bit more, you know, twists and turns and dead ends and things like that. Looks really nice. Thank you. Will we have a compass or use sense direction and leveling it up? We've discussed things like that. I don't know if we've fallen on a true consensus on it, but I think that's kind of what we're going for, is more like the sense heading. And any map that would be in the game would be more like representational and wouldn't be, you know, like a modern mini map where you see like where you are relative to everything around it. So old school navigation for sure. I feel like this needs to be wider. Let's run around a little bit. I want to make some decisions based on stuff that's in, like, as I'm in the game running around. And I've been running around other areas recently when I have been able to. So I need to run around in these spots real quick. Yeah, it's definitely cool. I remember part of the joys of when I first started playing EverQuest on the potato of a machine that we had back then. I couldn't have the far clip playing like more than, I had it at the minimum. Like I don't know if I knew how to change it initially, but my graphics card basically put it there because it was so crappy. And we could barely see anything, me and my brother, when we first started playing, and learned how to get around Kelthin by the trees. Like running up to a tree and be like, okay, there's a tree here and a tree here, we must, you know, like crush bones this direction. Like, it was absurd, but it's one of those fun things to look back at. That is not supposed to be there. I might move this door over here, so it's more something you can see as you're coming around the corner. Yeah, I don't know how I memorized everything because I don't recall looking up maps back in the live EQ days. I eventually bought the Atlas, but as cool as the Atlas was, I don't ever really remember using it for navigation, like actively during gameplay. I just remember like looking at it a lot. Oh, I printed all of them out. Sorry, Trees. I don't remember. I might have printed out a couple, but I don't think I printed out a ton. I just bought EQ Atlas with whatever money I was making while working at Panera. That's pretty much where all of my money went up, and that is off there still. I fixed it going this direction, but I didn't notice it was off that direction. Let's remember that. Ooh, they have lights. It's a light show. Okay, so those buildings are feeling better. I feel like this one could use another meter or two on the front of it. Playing a bard and running to EC sucked. Where were you running from? Ooh, that is not supposed to be in here. Did I miss a spot, or did I over... I might... You know what? I know exactly what I did. I need to fix that. Oop, why am I running around with attack on? With my luck, I'm going to accidentally tab target something and just get murdered here on stream. Palace, yeah, that is an awful run. I did that run almost a year ago when me, my brother, and son were playing on Thornblade for a little bit. I ran a chamois from Hallis to Kelthin, and oh god, it's such a horrible run. I might extend this a bit too. Ooh, what is going on over here? Oh, there's a seam. Is there a seam on the other side? Oh. Any other seams? Getting through Black Burrow is the tricky part. If you're doing it at level 1. Yeah, so, try number 1, I made it all the way through Black Burrow, and somebody had trained in to Black Burrow from Quanos Hills, and the second I zoned over, I just got punched in the face. And I was like, no! Because I thought I was home clear, or home free. And I definitely was not. And then I just proceeded for like the next hour to get murdered like half a dozen times running there. My brother even made a character to run interference, and I was still getting walloped on. But I was so excited that first one. I'm like, yes, I did it. And then I was like, oh, no. Ooh, boy. That's not what you want to do. Do I not have that? Oh, I have detect hit, or not select hidden on. That would have that would have been a nightmare had I not caught that. Alright. I think that is going to be better in terms of scale. Let's fix a couple of these seams that I noticed. I got booted from the boat as a dwarf in the middle of the ocean. That sucked. Took me 6 hours to find my way home. Oh, man. Oh. I had a friend who warned me about boats, so my first boat journey wasn't as bad as it could have been, because I knew like the do's and the don'ts of riding a boat, but alright, let's make sure I'm grabbing everything I want. Inside. Wow, did I really make that good of a select? Wow, that's... With all those random edge loops that need to get deleted still in there, I'm actually pretty surprised I selected that so nicely. Oh, and I guessed right. I think it was Ocean of Tears when the boat got was buggy as hell. Yeah, the boat was buggy as hell even when I started playing. I can't remember if you could still bard speed buff the boat. I think that was something that got taken out really quickly after I started playing. Like, I could be wrong there, but I feel like that was still a thing when I started. Better. Ring or face? Oh, it was ring. Nope. Oop. Oh. Oh, I'm selecting the other ones like far away. Loop. Okay. I like watching you guys put this all together. Do you think, or did you have to purchase anything to design all this stuff, or do you create it all from scratch? So, I think there's a couple things that have been purchased, but it's not much. I think the water shader was one that John had used in the past on some of the other games he's worked on, and he recommended it, so we did purchase that, and then we made adjustments with it, and then some of the systems stuff I'm pretty sure has been purchased, and then like iterated on from kind of like the standard development. But in terms of art assets, pretty much everything's been made from scratch. I mean, everything in this scene for sure has been made from scratch. Which definitely takes some time, but you have much better control over the overall aesthetic when you do it that way. But if you wanted like a more accurate like rundown on specifically what we're using, I would ping Ali in Discord, and he could tell you any of the systems that we're basing stuff off of, and then building stuff off of there. But I am not 100% sure off the top of my head, because I'm not a tech guy. Well, one of our tech guys anyways. Is this something that anyone can do, or do you have to have some cash to drop to get it going? Had you asked me that question like a decade and a half ago, I would have said you had to invest some money, but no, you can. Unity, Unreal, the engines themselves are accessible for free. Like Unreal, you only owe royalties if you make over X amount of money in a year, and it's like 100K or $1 million. It moves around, and I don't know where it is currently. And then it's like a 5% royalty or something like that. And then Unity's free unless something, I can't remember. But yeah, you can learn and develop on this stuff for free. Nowadays, you don't have to have access to like Maya or 3D Max. You can use Blender and do pretty much the same stuff. I just use Maya because that's what I use, and I'm just way faster at Maya than I am with Blender. And then there's, you know, like Photoshop alternatives, even like Substance Painter. If you're using Unreal, well, technically you can use it without Unreal, but like obviously, you know, if you're making something commercial, you'd have to pay for it, but you can use Mixer, which is the Quixel version of Substance Painter. It's not quite as good as Substance Painter, but in my opinion, personally, but it's definitely a nice handy tool if you want to get into texture painting. But yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that you can do relatively cheaply or completely free at this point. Other things you can do is, you know, like Unreal and Unity both have asset stores, so you can either buy stuff, or like Unreal gives out free stuff all the time, and you can kind of like poke around and dissect how they built stuff, which is, at least for me, is an awesome way to learn. I'm very much a like tinkerer's type mindset, so I'm always like poking around and looking at how other stuff was done to learn about it. So if you have that kind of mindset, checking out like free asset packs and stuff like that is a great way to learn, in my opinion. Is this something that anyone can... Oh, no, I just read that one. But, yeah, it's one of those things that just takes time, and figuring out what works for you for learning and sticking to it. There's definitely stuff that you'll start working on, and it won't make any... It doesn't necessarily make a ton of sense right off the bat. But over time and like with, you know, repetition and stuff, some of the concepts start to make more and more sense. That's how it was with me with blueprinting, which is how I program in Unreal. Hold on, how do I switch this to local? There we go. We just switched versions of Unity, so some stuff is different. So I'm like, how do I do the thing I've been doing? But anyways, yeah, you like when I was learning how to do, well, initially Kismet, I just started with stuff that like I knew like what was going on or what I wanted to do, and I just kept building and building and building on that knowledge. You eventually learn the nodes and stuff like that. I imagine the same thing goes with script. My brain isn't always great with like syntax and spelling and stuff, so I have yet to, it's been on my list for a long time to teach myself C# and C++, but C# first. But one of these days I'll have the time and I'll sit down and I'll actually do it. Thanks for the info. I might just mess around and see what happens. We'll have to learn it first. Oh yeah, definitely. And just remember as you're going around, you know, like it's all about the learning process. If I could show you guys my initial 3D models, they were hot garbage. But I can't because I lost the files because they were so poorly made. I essentially got that. I corrupted. The files got corrupt because I did not handle them properly back when I was a student. But you live and you learn. Failure is one of the great teachers, for sure. But yeah, no, stick to it. It's fun. Find what you like and just kind of dive into it. Make sure I'm not grabbing, and I am. And also, if you ever have any questions on like especially with 3D stuff, feel free to ask during any of my streams, or ping me in Discord. And if I have time, I'm more than willing to answer. My day job is teaching this type of stuff, anyways, so I am fairly familiar with all of that. And can at a very least, I can probably point you in a direction. To a proper answer to something if I don't know it. I thought I wanted to learn some script stuff, but after doing some projects at work that thrust me into being in the vicinity of the scripts and shit, I don't think I want to learn it or do that anymore. It depends on what is being scripted. Like, I don't have a problem building like simple systems and stuff like that at this point. Again, everything's blueprints. Put me in front of C# with a compiler, and I'm pretty sure I will break everything. But I can at least get my way around blueprints at this point. And it's nice to be able to do some of like the tech art type stuff for myself. Oh, I totally did not move that to the right spot. Okay, let's fix this. Which is initially what I started learning some of that stuff. And to be completely honest, teaching is what really drove me to learn more of that stuff, just because students would have questions on how to do stuff, and then I'd be like, okay, I'll help you do it. And then, you know, that was kind of the catalyst to force me to sit down and actually do the research. But again, my experiences with like legit coding have are not necessarily as smooth as my blueprinting. Granted, the last programming language I like actually had to use for like projects was back in school. And that was a while ago, and quickly becoming even more of a while ago every year. And that was ActionScript 3. Because that was back when Flash was still, like, the thing. Cool, be right back. All right. Oh yeah, it'd be nice to be able to get it done yourself. I kind of run into that with the bag today. I was able to get the prefab put together more or less, but I don't know what's up with the rolling around on the ground. I haven't played around with that yet, so I have to get someone else to look into that. Yeah, I'm less able to do, like, there's stuff that I could do for myself in, if we were using Unreal, that I can't in this, so it's always like, gotta bug one of the engineers, like, hey, I don't know how to do this. Or what's going on here. I still need to sit down with John at some point when I'm done with this class, and see how whatchamacallit is done, the light occluding in Wormsbane, so I can help set that stuff up from the get-go. Again, a lot of these edges really probably doesn't matter if I move them around or not, because I'm going to clean them up in Maya, but there's also, like, I don't know, like an OCD part of me that sees edges going all over the place, and I'm like, I must fix. Zukin learning. Rob, are you trying to learn C Sharp? Keith was asking. For anybody who's just listening to the VOD, he said no. Let's do it this way. So, playing around a little bit with this. I'm going to make a little kind of market stall on the side of this building. Yep, come on. Let's see. So, Paytas, what would hypothetically, of course, a farm go, or where would a farm go? One that would produce healthy crops. What kind of crops? Just like crops. Are we talking about like in real life, or are we talking about in the game? And I guess Zukin has a point too. The type of crop would also help affect that answer. Oh, it's a gut and yes. Apparently we're over an hour in, or about an hour in the game. If I don't think there's gonna be any like farms in here. Potentially some areas could have, now granted none of these are probably going to work for it, but like, you know, little back areas potentially on houses could be, you know, like little like garden spaces or something like that. There's no... So make sure Sean didn't move anything over here. But I'm messing up scale. Because this actually, I think, gives better area for if he wants to put some ruffians over here. Let me bring back the spawners. But yeah, so we want to do something like that, I think. I know it's been talked about, but we haven't actually gotten around to that stuff yet. Ali had done a little bit, or has done a little bit of whatchamacallit stuff in the background, some trade skill stuff, but that hasn't been touched in months because we've had other more pressing priorities to work out. It's not sticking to the ground, is it? Nope, but that one is. Okay, let's fix this. Goes there. And these go there. Oops. But there could be other, you know, when we get to the actual like housing type stuff, there could even just be like little you know, like small planter or something that you could potentially like put up here that you could have stuff in theoretically. Again, that's just me kind of talking out of my ass, but that could potentially be something, depending on how we want to do it. Did I just crash? No. Why am I not? There we go. Go. That looks like that is causing an issue. And let's give that edge there. Also, for anybody who uses Pro Builder that did not know, you can actually subdivide across a triangle. I have learned the magic, as I just demonstrated, without actually telling you how to do it. If you shift select all of the edges you want to cut across, and then hit the add edge loop tool, it will cut across them for you. Which is not normally how you do that, but you can do it. Alright. Things are starting to feel better. What was it? There was an issue over here. What's this? Oops, I did one too many. Yeah, there we go. And then where was the sand punching through the wall? Oh, you know what? It was over here. Extrude this off there. think so. And the same here. Or actually, with this one, I can just... I've got enough geo already to do that. Awesome. And then there was a seam somewhere. I should have made a note. But I didn't. Or no, I already did that. What am I talking about? It was this one right here. I think that was the only seam we found. Something along those lines. Okay, cool. Oh, I get tired. Ooh, excuse me. Oh. I apologize. My body is not used to getting up every day at this time again. It's amazing how quickly my body like can fall in and out of schedules or like set schedules. Alright, let's take another look. Okay, that's about the right height. I feel like we could use something like right in front and overhanging, so let's do that. And part of this is me playing around with some stuff to see what works and what doesn't within the style we're trying to do without getting too much information kind of modeled in. Oops, that was not what I wanted to do. Or actually, you know what, let's try one of the awning shapes, the goblin concept, as opposed to just flat one of those. Need to bring more of these onto the street anyways. That's not going to do it that way. And let's open this up a pinch. And then actually that needs to be 1 high, 3 wide, and 3 1. wall. Something similar to that. And then we can have whatever we want as a texture in there of what the goods could potentially be. So combination of things like this and some of these shelves from the concepts, and I totally should have left a unscaled version of this here. How far does this go down? Alright, so 25 units, which I did 50. So this is where I think some of this stuff is we're actually going to get better results by not using the same one over and over again, so that the market doesn't feel standardized. It starts to feel a little like it's the same thing over and over and over. So it could also just be different colors helps, but potentially other types of awnings and stuff as well. I actually have some modeled, I just don't have them in the in here at the moment. But potentially just like, you know, square awnings that are kind of over draping and stuff like that as well. And then some of those whatchamacallits kind of draping across here, I think will really start to help sell some of this. But I do like having some of these kind of stalls, and then probably even some more of stuff like this. And then stuff like Goblin's concept, like I want to have that big area right here that's kind of next to this building's wall. Oh, yeah, I'm fading fast. Whew. I apologize, guys. I've got like no energy tonight. Okay, so that's looking good. Let's start building in some of the windows for some of these buildings that don't have them yet. So this one I don't think is going to get a ton. Because that is right over this. So maybe a window over here and a window over here. I remember how skinny I made these windows. 50 units. And were these perfect rectangles? Yes. Or not perfect rectangles, but they were rectangles. Move that to there. And I will move like so. Since I already have the edge loops. on that side. And then I should be good on this upper floor to extend these walls out, because that is way too thick. I can't do that here because it's going to interact with that one. I didn't raise the floor in this one, but I can over here. But that one might have already been scaled properly now that I'm looking at it. That up. Whew, yeah. Whew. Sorry, I feel like I'm yawning more than I'm talking in this stream. So got that. I'm going to do this one a little differently. So that one, maybe that one? I don't remember. That one, oops. We'll just get a triangle for that. And then collapse these, but I can target those a lot easier from that side of the wall. Alright. Oof. God, this is one of those places again that, like, everything in my body is like, oh my god, that edge flow needs to get fixed. But, again, I'm not going to spend all my time fixing it in Pro Builder, where I can clean it up faster in Maya. Okay, so we got that. Do I want... No, one from the side. Maybe one from the back. Maybe one in the back. Two and 1, 2. Cool. You know what? I did not double check. Can I see through these for both ways? Okay, good. And then this one should have all the geo I need to just align it with pre-existing edge loops. Okay. These edge loops really bug me because they're not straight. But they're probably straight on the other side because of the doors that I cut in there, so in reality I'm just messing up the other side. should be good. This one. And we just need to collapse these vertices. Oops. Was it me, or was the left window look higher than the right one? It might be, or it might have been my eyes look at the PC, or looking at a PC screen all day. Now I hear you from looking. My eyes do similar things as well. Stare at a screen all day. Give me 1 second and I'll look. It's possible. Some windows I've actually intentionally done that. But that was not the intent on this one. Oh, let me fix my ruler. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Nope, they should be the same. It might have just been the angle. Yeah, they're the same. But thank you for if you do ever notice anything that looks weird, I'd rather someone be like, "Hey, is that off?" Than me not notice it, because that can happen, especially when I'm looking at streams or looking at stream chat and just flying around and stuff. That kind of stuff happens all the time. And actually, I want to center this again. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and a half. So 3.5 and 3.5. There we go. Awesome. That was easy enough. And just straighten the rest of this line out because it's driving me crazy. There we go. Okay. Dude, we need some breakable glass physics for the gnomes. breaking through a window as the building explodes in the background and shit. That would be hilarious. As it is, gnomes can already do some fun stuff with jumping through windows that other races can't. It's like a racial perk. Oh my god, I can't stop yawning. Whew. I apologize, guys. I don't think I've had the yawns this bad on stream before. Ooh, that is an issue. What is going on here? Oh, that's why this one wasn't as nestled up to the wall. I remember now. Also, that looks super funky. What is going on? Oh, I guess that's right. Oops. play around with that in Maya. Or do something like that. That actually might work better. So it's just on a slight little angle. Yeah. Our gnomes currently have wall climbing. I feel like this needs a window, this one, but I don't know where I want it. I think this is gonna be one of those windows. I think I want to use like one of those windows that acts more like a skylight than an actual window that you can see. Like, obviously you can see up through it, but you're not viewing out of it per se. It's just letting light into the room. Like so. Nice. And I have the geo for it. Ooh. I lied. I'm gonna leave those because I was undecided whether I wanted to do like little parapet design on the side of this one or not. So I don't want to mess those nice square sides up before I make that decision. So we'll just do it this way. Oops. Oh my goodness. Stop. There we go. Sometimes I've noticed that, like, if you do stuff too fast, it does not like to register that you selected other vertices. And it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna collapse all of this down just because I feel like it. Let's see. Guild name idea, Gnome Team 6. I should have taken that screenshot that I put for the jump that I put in Slack. I should have done that with a gnome instead of my human rogue, where it jumps off the building with like the. Was it this? Might have been this building, or maybe it was this one. Just jumping off with the dagger in his hand. Should have done that as a gnome. Opportunity lost. Okay. So yeah, that's what why these edges were off on the sides, because I wanted them like this. I think I'll have the window facing this way. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And a half. Okay, so this side I definitely have the geo. Whoop. Left and delete. Oop. Looks like I at one point moved this. Oh, I know what I did. It's when I widened this. I just didn't grab that edge I needed to. Again, easy to miss stuff when you go back in to fix stuff later. Okay, that's got a window. And maybe another window down here. Alright, these. Let's select edges. I really need to get the door frames built also, so we can start stuffing those into doorways to see if they're going to look good as well. But I also, again, I've talked about it, I need to start expanding this. I was starting to play around with ideas for over here, and then I started sketching on paper in that shape, just trying to figure out how I want it to flow. But I also need to figure that area out and this area out. And this. Again, I think the tanneries are going to be smaller because these right now are gigantic. Not like height-wise, just like the footprint is huge. Okay. So, do I want anything off this side? I really don't feel like it's necessary. It's really not that good of a view. Oh, I did have another. I had this. This was the other thing that I like. I know there was one other thing I needed to fix. It was this wall. There we go. Okay. So I need to go around eventually and do like a nice treatment on more of these balconies, playing around with more of these like shapes that we've been using. I was also thinking about, and I haven't tried it yet, I'm gonna just play with it right now, doing something with that shape, but having it more more rotated like that, and then like stacked, kind of going that way. So it's a similar negative space, just kind of, you know, put on its side. I think it could work. Obviously, this geo, it doesn't support it right now because of the way all the edges are linked. So I'd have to completely redo it, but I think it's doable. But that's something I'll play around with more when I have more mental capacity. I'm definitely at the end of my wits. Oh, hi. I think I spelled that right. There we go. Goodbye. Yep, booted. I'm just very slow at typing. And then I, for some reason, decided to do it in Streamlabs as opposed to doing it in my other window on Twitch. And Streamlabs, like, I start typing and it just, like, put a bunch of pop-ups right over the name. So I'm trying to, type out whatever the bot's name was. I'm like, oh, that's awesome, because I can't read the text anymore because this is giant pop-up advertising something. It was some feature. It's like, oh, did you know you can? I'm like, I don't care. Hey, John, how's it going? I'm doing pretty good. Just really fading the last, 10, 20 minutes. Still not quite still don't quite have my body up to the working 5 days a week schedule again. Not, I guess that's wrong, but the 9 to 5 at physically at a building, not sitting here at my computer doing work, which definitely is a little less mentally strenuous of an activity. But hope you're doing well. Good. Glad to hear it. Anybody have any fun plans for the weekend? I won't go back to an office. Remote work is way, way, way better. So for stuff like this, definitely a fan of remote work. Teaching, it depends. Teaching game design stuff can get exhausting. It can get exhausting doing it online, for sure. I know the last semester that the school I have the classes at today, where we were fully online, it got I don't know, just super, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? My brain is just not working today. And actually, I really shouldn't make this gigantic leap like this from the side. Let me back this up. But yeah, it was just super crazy the last semester. Also, I made the mistake. Granted, this was 2020 lockdown mistake that I made, but I was answering my Discord messages at hours that normally you should be working and teaching, and then I think everyone was like, oh, cool, we'll answer whenever. So I was getting spammed with questions legit at like 2 or 3 in the morning. Frequently. So I was like, I probably should stop replying to all of these at this hour and start doing it more during like normal business hours, so everyone isn't expecting me and blowing my phone up as I'm trying to sleep. No real plans. May go for a drive, but that's about it. But with the cost of gas and not a far drive, yeah, I can't remember the last time I just went like joyriding. To be completely honest, it was probably back in high school. I think when I started driving, gas was like $1.20. I think was the lowest, around the lowest I saw, something like that. And then 9/11 happened and gas prices went up and been much higher than that all my other driving career. Oops, that is not spaced correctly. Now it is. End of driveway, back maybe. I don't know, that one might break the bank. Also, this window is not centered. There we go. I felt like I had like a spider or something crawling up my arm. I guess it was just the wind from the fan. Off a foot. I think this needs to be down one more. There we go. 4 wide. 4 wide. I'm going to have to give myself another edge loop. I really need to straighten out these edge loops because they are going all over the place. Let's clean this one up real quick. That's better. Oop. All right, so put those. I need that one to go up and this one to go down, like so. Oh, man. Okay. I think I'm going to call this in a minute, guys. I'm, like, super just not staying awake. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it here. I'm going to run around real quick. And then I'll do my ending spiel. And I am going to probably lay down and pass out in the next, like, 20 minutes, because I am beat. So let's take a look at this stuff. Run around real quick, see if I notice any more seams from all the terrain work I did. And test these last couple spaces, make sure they feel a little bit better now that they've been scaled a little bit more. And they aren't quite as narrow. It kind of works for a market stall. Oops, let's give ourselves a speed boost. So oh, this one hasn't been adjusted. But I did pull the front of this one out a bit. Yeah, it feels a little bit nicer. A little bit more room to move your camera around. What other ones did I fix? Oh, the inside at the bottom of this one. Yeah, it's a little bit wider. This feels a little bit more of a narrow street, which is fine. This is a little bit larger. Let's see how upstairs feels. Yeah, not bad. I may play around with the door placement on this one, but for now, that's not terrible. Let's check this one out. That's fine. And the window. Feels off center, but I think it's right. And then I didn't do any upstairs, so I don't know why I'm running upstairs. And then, of course, I'm doing this as time set. Let's do 9 a.m. Change it up. Ooh, I feel like that might be a little too high. Maybe I'll bring that down like half a meter. Or maybe make it more of a square. Currently, all windows are regulation size because you can chuck a shrunk gnome through the jail cell window bars. So it doesn't take much to be able to do that. I almost forgot how to get up to the upper floors of this building. It's been a bit, and my brain is like shutting down on me. Alright, that window is narrower. I need to widen that. These ones are intentionally narrow, but I think this one I want wider, like this one. But yeah, I bet I could, let's see, /cast, shrink, what? Helps if I could spell. Okay, that's what it is. /cast. Gnome. Illusion. I always forget which illusion is done which way, so I always have to search them. Oh! It apparently broke it. But I'm still small enough that I could chuck myself through the window. Oop. Yep, no, I'm back. Yeah, here, want to see something silly? I've done this on stream before, so some people may have seen this, but I don't know if everybody has. Pop back in. Again, before I do this, I will preface this by saying I personally think the gnomes, and we were talking about adjusting them, I think they should be scaled up like 40 to 50%, or maybe 45%, because they're so tiny. Slash fly, and then that their current scale should probably be their shrunk scale. So let's move this over here. Look at me, I'm so important. Highlighted message. Does the grow spell make you huge? Yeah, it makes you like... It can make the skeletons pretty big for sure. I don't know if I've tested it on the gnome. We can test that in a minute. I really should have put a necklace on, but whatever. So if I run... Oops, let's turn off fly. I don't have a speed gem with me. So let's run. Over to the jail. Move those little legs. So, you know, jail windows. Probably need to space them a little bit better when, eventually, but for now, that's what they're like. If I cast shrink, it gets so tiny. Let's see if I can do this correctly. That they could fit right. Oh no, I'm falling through the. But yeah, you can like go through that teeny tiny gap, and I think it's like 25 centimeters essentially in like real world space. So he's tiny. He's like a little cockroach. But yeah, you can just like straight up just throw yourself through this window. Whee! He's smaller than the smell particles. Yep. So yeah, that's definitely something. So they're already at this scale getting into areas that I wasn't expecting, like through windows in the inn and stuff like that. So they when they're really tiny and shrunk, they're gonna break so much stuff. So I honestly think this is better for the shrink. So if I bring them up here, you know, this is essentially a meter. I think getting him closer to a meter, maybe just under, is probably better. And then their shrink being around the height that he's currently at. But again, that's my suggestion. We'll see where we end up falling on that. So if I go to cast GM, is it GM Grow 200? No, I forget what. Hold on, cast GM Grow 200. Search ability. GM Grow. Yeah. Cast GM Grow. Oh, 200. I was putting a space. So this is a grown gnome, which is probably closer to what Actually, let's go grow 150. That's probably closer to what I feel the gnome should be. Actually, you know what? I don't know why I didn't think of this before. I'm gonna run over to the gnome apartments that I have over here and check out the scale when it's closer to the scale that I think should be accurate. Accurate gnome description. So currently they're like 1.5 feet tall. Yeah, they're like up to a knee basically. I think they come up to the like our normal skeletons. If you walk up to them, they're like at their kneecap, like their heads. They're insanely small. The original gnome, a good size? Yeah, probably. The only problem is our grow camera does not actually... Our camera doesn't currently adjust to the grow and the shrink like it should. So it's not a great representation of what it might feel like to be a gnome. Actually, you know what? It might also be that I did a grow 200. But nice little cozy gnome house. This could probably be pulled out a little bit more. So maybe like another meter and a quarter, maybe another meter, maybe another meter and a half at most. Gnomish stairs. Yeah, I think the room would end up scaling just a little bit. Not much though. Maybe, again, a meter's probably even more than it needs. But yeah, so that's closer to what I envision their scale probably being compared to what their scale is. But if they're, you know... Oh! There's Nomeo. Oh no! You've been stabbed. Oh! You just impaled yourself even further. Actually, I need to test this again. There was I don't know what was going on over here the other day. I jumped into this well, and it just like crashed the game out on me. Nope. Okay, did not do it again. Granted, I did it on a human, but I legit land in there. What's the grow command again? /grow to, or /GM grow, and then the percentage you want to grow. So I think it's 100, 120, 135, 150, and 200. /cast GM grow 150. Oh, why did that not work? Oh, I can't use that. Do I have to use grow all? Oh, apparently I cannot grow other players. Did not know that. We learned something. Alright guys, I'm gonna wrap up this stream. So thanks for everybody for hanging out with me. Let me see what else. I think that's a little better personally. 1 meter is a little over 3 feet. Yep. Yeah. So like I said, keeping the gnome like just at or under a meter is like just around that 3 foot mark, depending on if we're just above, just below, something like that. I think that is a little bit more more of a geo scale we can hit that allows the current geo to work. And then if, you know, this is, you know, the shrunken gnome, they can still do some, you know, silly things. Like jump through really tiny windows, or really thin windows over here in the inn, which I did not initially think that they would be able to do. Because I think we were just getting them in game when I was building this, so, but I can just float over here right through the window, so make a little gnomish getaway. But yes, very puntable. So thanks for hanging out with me, guys. If you're new to the project, we are making a game called Monsters and Memories. It is an indie MMO that is influenced by the classic kind of first generation MMOs, so late 90s or early 2000s. That is our website if you'd like to learn more about the game. There's plenty of screenshots and information on there. Also, if you have any questions, you're more than willing to answer them here on stream, or you can join our Discord and ask us questions there. All the devs are in there. We're usually pretty good about answering questions, that type of thing. Although I've admittedly been really behind on chat the last 2 weeks with this class running. We also have a mailing list if you'd like to stay up to date with what's going on in the game, but you don't want to join the Discord. Zukin, who's also in chat, streams as well. He's a member of the team. These are all the team members that currently stream their various aspects of the game. My streams are generally environment art and level design oriented, so give everybody else a follow if you haven't already. We also have a YouTube if you'd like to get caught up on previous VODs from all of the team members. So if you are watching on YouTube, please remember to like and subscribe, comment below, and all that stuff. We do, interact through YouTube. So, all that kind of stuff helps us with the algorithm to kind of get the game out to more people that are interested in MMOs. So we appreciate all of that. And if you are watching on YouTube and you'd like to participate in the live chats during the stream, down in the description below there should be a link to my Twitch channel, Paytus the Ranger. Just throw it a follow. You'll get a notification whenever the stream goes live. Normally, and I should be returning back to my normal times next week after this class ends. My times are Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then Fridays in the morning. But that one may end up having to change because I've had another project I worked. Oh, there's a giant Nomeo. Oh no, Nomeo died. Oh, I did cast GM Res wrong. No, come on, I can't type. I'm trying to res you. Hold on. There we go. What? I cannot target a corpse with GM res? What? Did GM res break? Oh, I have to do it. I'm doing this totally wrong. Search ability res. Huh. I don't know what happened to the res. I was planning on resing you. Sorry about that. You can try. Why can't I kill? Or why can't you kill me? Because I'm smart and whenever I chaos somebody, instantly turn on vulnerability, so I can't get chaosed. I've learned the art of trolling. But I'm gonna call this for the night. Thanks everybody. Again, my Friday stream will probably get moved around because another project I work on, my weekly meeting got moved around, so I got to figure out where I'm gonna do that. But Friday stream again might be M&M related, it might be other art, it might be me playing a game. I make, that one is open to being canceled more often than the ones I have been canceled in the last 2 weeks, but again, just workload and stuff has cut into my energy levels the last 2 weeks. But again, thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I'm going to call this one. See you guys.